So today we've got a bit of a story to tell because kind of a unique thing came up on Marketplace recently, and it was really quite a coincidence. And suddenly I have the chopper that you may have seen before. I've done a whole bunch of videos on that, reconfiguring it in all kinds of different ways. But this one's new, and you may, in fact, probably have never seen a bike like that before. It's the same year as the chopper. These are both 1976 bikes, and they're both made by Raleigh. Now, looking at that frame, it's pretty obvious that they're very much alike. Here's my thinking. In the mid-70s, everything was changing. Banana seat bikes were kind of going out of style. People, kids just wanted more things. What I think happened, this is my theory, because I was a kid then. I was born the same year as the Schwinn Stingray, 1963. And so by the time I was riding bikes out on the road and hopping curbs and building ramps and stuff, I was 10, maybe 9, maybe 11, in that area. So let's say 1973. I was riding around on a basic single speed, I had a stick shift bike, CCM Mustang or something, I don't know. I found a picture, just catches just a little bit of the stick shift here. I don't really remember that bike much, but I do remember it jumped well. We used to build ramps down at the toboggan factory at the end of the road, and we'd build these giant 4-foot high takeoff ramps, and you have the 2-foot high landing ramps, 10 feet away, and a bunch of kids in between the two ramps. You'd fly over them. Great bike for jumping, but I always wanted, then they came out, I think what was happening, I did end up with a chopper I dug out of the river one year when they let the dam out, and it was down in the mud, and I just could not stand the way it rode. I couldn't jump it. I couldn't really ride it, the way I wanted to, let's just say. But they were coming out with these, and I didn't know anything about them. It was just a Canadian Tire bicycle, Supercycle. Well, it turns out Raleigh made bikes for Supercycle for sale at department stores in Canada here, like Canadian Tire. And that was one of them, and I really liked that. And I just never even dawned on me that it was the same as my chopper I had back then, because it was clearly not designed to do the same thing. This thing was for trails and mud and jumping, and just really could take the abuse. My other little banana seat bikes would bust, and the handlebars would be all bent, and just couldn't handle the abuse I was putting it through. But this was the thing to get. So I got it, rode it, loved it. It was a lot heavier than I thought. It just didn't handle quite as well as the Mustang I had, but it was pretty tough. It could handle a lot more abuse. And that knobby front tire was really cool. Motorcycle style, triple tree front forks were very strong. And I had it for a couple of years, and eventually it got stolen. The funny thing is, just recently, I've owned another Mustang, another CCM Mustang banana seat bike for the last, 15 years. I bought it for $6 at a farm auction. And I thought that I would, it would sort of summon up some old memories, and I'd get all into it, and I'd restore it, and I'd ride it around. Well, it's sat in my garage now for all of that time, for 15 years. I've done virtually nothing to it. I don't ride it. The little short cranks are, you can't pedal the thing. It's just, I don't know. It was just so useless. But so here it is in the garage. I pull it out. It's in my way. I say, you know what? I'm going to throw it up on Marketplace, and I'll ask some crazy number like $150. No one's going to want it for that, but I'll take $100, whatever. Well, I just got hammered with replies on that. $150, I guess, was free in the banana seat bike market, the vintage bike market, anyways. So luckily, the guy that came and got it, he had cash in hand really quickly, and he had others that he'd restored. So it's going to a good home. after me holding it on for 15 years doing nothing to it, just letting it rust, at least it's going to go and get restored now. So then the next day comes along, I hop on Marketplace, and what pops up on page 1? A new listing for another MX500. So I'm thinking, and I even said to my woman, I said, oh my God, this is so weird. This is just like back in 1974, I think it was, when I got rid of one Mustang so that I could get an MX500. And here we are, 2022, and it happens again. And I joked, I said, I'm not going to buy it, of course. One bike is plenty, or I guess 3 or 4 that I actually have back there. But the next day came around and it was still for sale, and it was the same price as my Mustang, so it's not like I was out any money or anything. And I just said, oh, screw it, I'm going to check in. And you know what? If it's still there, I'll grab it. Just for, memory's sake, nostalgia. So here it is. I went and got it, and here it is. And now that, I kind of take a closer look at it, it really is very close to the Raleigh chopper. These were, I guess, made by Raleigh. They're built in Canada. This one was anyways. And, but it doesn't say Raleigh on it anywhere. I don't think, no, it says Supercycle. So that was kind of the department store brand name here in Ontario. And, but Raleigh actually, it's a Raleigh design. So that, I got looking, I thought, I bet what happened was, the choppers were still selling. I think they sold up to like 1980. So this is 1976, I would say kind of later on in the chopper world. And, but they weren't, kids were learning how to jump bikes, and they were just being more aggressive with them. By now, BMX was out. And I think what happened here was Raleigh wasn't really quite ready for the full BMX design. I think Mongoose or somebody, I don't know, that name rings a bell, but what you envision as a typical BMX bike was starting to catch hold. I was maybe 13 or 12 by then, and I really didn't think BMX bikes looked cool. I was always about the banana seat and the sissy bar and, stretched out and stuff. This was about as cool as it could possibly be. So I just never really dug the BMX, but this, I think, was kind of a transition bike. I think what they were doing is saying, look, we got a proven chopper design. How do we just incorporate that onto a stronger bike? Something that a kid can jump, something that a kid can hit dirt trails and fly through mud puddles and stuff without immediately crashing and bursting into flames like the choppers always did. Well, I think this is what they came up with. If you look at a lot of the design work, like just everything, just the way it's dual post on top and then, big single, it's the same over here. They did extend it, wrap it all the way around at the back, but they made it look like the old luggage rack design. And, what do you call that? A square back sissy bar or something, so that when you land your butt off a jump, you don't impale yourself like that thing. And then they started, tacking on braces and stuff here and there to try to make it stronger, and it worked. These forks are very strong. So yeah, this Raleigh chopper, I think, evolved into this, or was like an option, but using the same basic math. I can see this is thicker tubing, like bigger tubing than this, but you can't jump these choppers. All you could do is cruise down the road and look cool. These you could whip on down the road and fly off anything you see, land in the mud, scooch across gravel parking lots and stuff and through the fields. Just give her. And it's a single speed coaster brake, so there's no cables and things to get caught up on everything. It's very predictable. I always liked just the single speeds. All this stuff is just going to eventually grab onto a twig or branch or something, tear you down onto the ground, or it's going to break, or it's going to seize up. But yeah, so that's my story. But I got to change that rear fender. So let's do that, and I'll keep blabbing on about my story of being, I don't know, 11 years old with an old Raleigh MX500. All right, so it is very unfortunate that the original fender for this bike is made of plastic. I mean, it is just so fragile. You just touch it and it breaks. You can see it was all taped up. Someone was trying to hold it together, but it's just not doable. Hey, I just realized the lip on it is the same as what I'm putting on as the chopper. This end is all gone. Only half the fender was left, and it just, as soon as I touched it, you know, tried to take it off with a wrench, you just touch the side of the fender and it just busted into pieces. There you can see the mount just came right through. So it's garbage. But yeah, let's take a look. Hey, that's the same. That is identical. So Raleigh just made a plastic fender the same shape as the chopper fender. Neat. Maybe I'll keep the bits. Just, you know, for when this bike is worth $1 million and someone wants the original fender. Okay. Okay, before I attach this this fender to the new bike, I'm going to shine it up a little bit. I mean, the chopper itself is a ratty looking bike, and that's just the way it's going to be for now. So I don't mind the fender on it as being dirty and ratty, but this one I'm going to clean up a little bit, and I figured this, before I put this fender on, why not try the old ball of tinfoil trick? Let's give it a whirl. Give it a wipe with a rag first, if I can find one. I think this is going to add more dirt than take dirt away, but we'll see. 1976, a little rusty on the inside. I'll see if I can bonk that little ding out of there. See. Yeah, it didn't really make much of a difference. It's not dirt on it, it's just, it's like a layer of grime. So let's go and pop that out. One thing I have is a nice old soft stool, some antique thing from a farm auction that I use to hammer against so that, you know, it doesn't, although I might need something a little more firm this time to pop that out flat. But let's see what I can do. Whoa! Nice. It's gone. Maybe I'll start in the center. Maybe I'll start underneath. Now I'll start at the end that's going to be down by the seat post. So I think you dip it in water and just give it a rub. I think the theory here is that aluminum is softer than chrome, so the aluminum can't scratch and damage either, but it will rub off the rust spots. Let's see. Oh my God, already? Of course, I'm doing the spot I just banged out with the hammer first, and it's going to show that I didn't do a professional job quite yet, but just a little wee bit there. Already is shining it up pretty nice. You know, look at the old, look at the after. It's, this is really working well. More. Now the idea I've got in my head of putting this on the MX is that it's now going to be in a place where I know where it is. I'm not going to lose it somewhere, so that if I do restore the chopper someday, if I get tired of the rat rod look, then it's easy to find. It's just on my other bike. I'm not forming a giant collection. I just want these two old bikes, and I have a vintage road bike in the back. That's a like a 5-speed Japanese-made road bike. I forget what it's called. Kishimono or Kashiki, that's it. All right, so am I scratching this all to heck? Let's see. Some hairline cracks, but I think that would buff out, like, not cracks, scratches, I should say. But they're so fine that would just buff out nicely with chrome polish. Holy, I didn't think this fender was going to clean up. Oh, this is making restoration look pretty simple. Is this how simple everything is when you restore a bike? Doubt it. I keep wondering if maybe that MX was mine. I mean, I don't really remember what I did. I remember I was really anxious to get into a shock absorber bike. So the MX came out, hardtail, solid front forks, and I was right into that and had to have one right away. And then like a year later, a shock absorber bike came out, and I just had to have that. And we weren't a wealthy family, so it took me some wheeling and dealing with other things I had to get into the shock absorber bike. And then when I got that bike, I hated it immediately, and which is I never sold my MX. Or yeah, no, it got stolen. I think the MX got stolen, and to replace it, the shock absorber bike was out by then. And Pops went and flipped large so that I'd quit moaning about my stolen MX. And the second I got on it and tried to ride around on this thing with suspension, I could understand the draw of suspension, nice smooth ride, but I was a curb jumper and a ramp builder, and that thing did not jump very well at all. All right, I'm gonna get a little chrome polish here. Whoop, that's a lot. Well, that is looking really good. More. Do it over the floor, I suppose. Should put a power buffer to it, but then it's going to be overkill. I mean, it's only 3 screws to hold it on, so if I ever want to do more, if I really want to shine this thing up, I'll take it back off and put the power wheel to it. But that is leaps and bounds better than it was. Maybe I'll do a little bit on the inside just to clean it up a bit, but not go crazy. Maybe I can form the shape of the fender. That's kind of a good reason to use aluminum, a ball of aluminum. 1976 Raleigh chopper, original rear fender. What's that worth? Doesn't matter, it's not for sale. All right, so I just took some of the rust out. I mean, that was a solid layer of rust there before. Now I just have, but I'm never gonna like get that all cleaned out. It's, I mean, I could, I suppose, and maybe I will next time it's off. All right, time to make up a bracket and get this thing mounted. Okay, so the Raleigh chopper fender has 1 mounting hole at the front and 2 at the back, almost to the back, and I have, it's going to run all the way down to the kickstand. I think originally the fender only went to there, but I'm certainly not going to chop this fender up to make it fit. I think I can wrap it all the way around this wheel and get it down to the kickstand mount and just make a little tab that comes off that and holds the front of the fender down through that hole. And then there's 1 mounting hole up here on this bracket here that I'll make a tab that, you know, spreads out and catches both of those, and it'll be solid. So let's see if I can at least push it in there and see, and I might have to flip the bike over. All right. I think that looks fantastic. So I think maybe, I mean, that's a tight fit, but once I get it mounted in there, I think I'll bend this light a little bit further back. I saw a picture of one of these online, and there's almost no pictures of this thing, or definitely no videos. I haven't found a single video of these old Raleigh MX500s. But yeah, I'll just bend that tab back a little bit just to make a little bit of clearance to the fender. But I think that looks great. I don't know what year this is. I'll have to find the serial number. It said late 70s, but I'm pretty sure by the late 70s they'd gone to a fully suspension bike. And, you know, no more, well, I'm not sure if it had triple trees or not, but it definitely didn't have that rear brace for strength. Like, can you imagine a bicycle with motorcycle style triple trees? Something like that, I obsessed over as a kid. I just could not believe, and a knobby front tire, like that was pretty new. When I had mine in 1974, 75, they didn't have knobby tires on the front. We were just banana seat bikes only. So this was a big deal because, you know, in Ontario, our weather's not very good all the time. And lots of times there's like a little bit of snow on the ground or a lot of muck and slippery roads. And I could haul butt around town on the bike like this, where my little CCM Mustang with its short little cranks, just pumping for all I'm worth to get it going on down the road. I love that bike, but when I saw this, I knew what I wanted. And of course, this obsession eventually turned into this. This is the grown-up version, kind of a grown-up version of the Raleigh MX500. These are both Raleigh. This one's made in Canada. This one's made in England. I'm good with that. I'm good with made in USA stuff. But Schwinn's and you know, Stingrays, that kind of thing, Stingrays and crates are not common in Canada at all. They just aren't. So I just think it's so cool that I found one of these, and look at the shape it's in. There's fella thought that it's likely the original tires on it still, and that could be. The seat though is in like brand new condition. I mean, brand new condition. Oh, there's no plugs on the ends either end. You know, I can put my little frilly, colorful. No, no, no. Boys bike. No frillies. This thing means business. Oh, this is awesome having a handle here. Got me. All right. All right, I have a million of these galvanized brackets, so they won't rust. So I might as well cut a piece out of this. So I made a little bracket. I'll bend it back into 90 in a second. I just want to see if I'm even close. So my plan is to drill that little hole bigger so the kickstand bolt will go through it. And bend it. Oh, okay, the crease in it right now is at the right spot to bend upwards because I got it. Oh, yeah, I'll have to pull the fender back down a little bit so that I can put a nut and bolt through there. So it won't need to be this wide. I'll trim it up and do this and that and drill some holes and fabricate. It might throw it somewhere off into the distance. Good. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the kickstand bolt will come up through that. Now I just got to bend that over, trim these off, these sharp edges, and drill a new hole, but I won't bother trimming it until I get the other hole drilled in case I wreck this when I'm drilling it. It's just going to be a small bit on this end. I'm going to bend it first and then pop it on. All right, so I've just slipped this up from the bottom here. That'll mount there. All right, my hands are full, but you can see the hole in the fender now. It's just going to have to go into like a nut and bolt into that tab I just made that sits down in there. And actually, oh yeah, I got the right width. It looks kind of good in there, even though I won't see it because of the kickstand. But underneath here, I'll have to cut those pointy bits off. Won't need those. And then find a little nut and bolt in my collection here. It's a bit too... That looked fun. It went down the slide. Okay, I'll go drill a hole for this bolt. You don't need to see me run a drill through that again. I'm just going to clamp it to a piece of wood again. Maybe give it a little pop with a center punch. Drill bit big enough to do this. Be right back. Okay, I wanted to get as close to this bend as I could with this little hole, but I might have got a little too close. I'm not sure I can get a nut on it now. If I put the head on this side, oh yeah, that'll work. So I'm just going to run this through by hand. Put the lock washer on. All right, let's crank it down with a couple of wrenches. Okay, just enough to squash that lock washer. Don't want to squash the fender. Okay. Get this pedal out of the way. There it goes. Okay, that's just aluminum, so I don't want to go crazy with the wrench. The fender's in there now, and now I can turn the bike over and it won't flop around. Okay, so now I just need to make a bracket that will mount on the two fender holes and a single cross brace hole. Bolt it all together. We got plenty of clearance back here. I didn't actually need that much, so, and I got this on a big angle, so I'm going to bend that back in and put the reflector on. Okay, so there's a mount I made, kind of ugly, but the bike's kind of ugly too, so that's just the way it's going to be. Let's make a little top bracket here. Okay, so I just making a little bracket, real rough like out of an old gate hinge or latch, I guess it is a lock latch. So I cut the slot out of it, and then I was able to separate it a little bit and drill holes on the end so that it would fit. I got washers in my hand. So that would fit in here, and I can then mount it up here to there. So let's cut it off. Well, I'll drill it first and cut it off and get it up in there and see what happens. Okay, that's what it looks like with the chrome fender. Don't even really notice it in there because of all of those bars. Oh my God, there's a lot of structure to this bike, and it is not easy to fiddle around in there with little nuts and bolts. Just everything's in the way. So I've just hacked together a temporary brace to hold this back fender, or sorry, to hold the back part of the fender up. I can't get that sticker off. I don't know what the heck it's made of, some kind of kryptonite, but I don't want to scratch at it with a chisel or anything because, and I'll scratch up the fender. Not that it's in awesome condition. Anyway, so I'll work on that with some Goo Gone or something after. But that's the amount of space I ended up with at the back after bending that little blinker tab. And I think that's going to be just fine like that. Now you can actually see the tip of the fender, whereas before it was touching the blinker, or the flasher. It was touching the flasher and it looks stupid. So now it's got a little gap in there. Yeah. It looks not too bad. My little bracket up in the front. Bolted on the inside there. All hack jobs, just tin snips and scrap metal. When I take the bike apart and paint it and make it pretty, I'll make decent brackets. With the seat on and the tire on and everything on, it's just really hard to make little tiny brackets in there and get your hands up in the fender. Like my hand won't even fit up under that fender to get, you know, a screwdriver or wrench in there. I eventually did, but I had to cut out all of the cursing I did, which meant pretty much the entire project. But yeah, let's go try this thing outside in the mud. All right. The nice thing about these bikes is because the sissy bar is laid back like that, you can just throw your leg over the back. I did like the high sissy bar, you know, it was cool on the old bikes, but you had to throw your leg up through there every single time. And if you took a big jump and landed your butt on that, it's not going to be so bad. But yeah, you land your butt on something tall or something like my Mustang and whew, not going to be good. Wow, I remember these things being so much larger than they are. They must have shrank. All right, let's go for a ride. Oh yeah. Just loves the mud. Here's top speed. Brakes work like new. Nothing's clicking. I think the steering's good and tight. Oh, no, it's not. That's loose. I'm gonna have to, I can see it moving there. So I'm gonna have to get a wrench on that and tighten it down a bit. Oh, it's really loose. It's never been tightened up, I'm sure. But the cranks are good and tight. Chain's clicking a little bit. I'm gonna have to get some oil on it. Yeah, when I stop pedaling, it clicks. What's that? Don't know. All in all, it's a nice riding bike. I'm quite happy with it. What about this thing? Does it still move under its own power? Well, under my power. Oh yeah. I think I got maybe a bit of a flat back tire, not too bad. Oh, it's rough over these bumps. It's rough in the gravel. That other bike is awesome in the gravel. So check this out. I ran out real quick to tighten up the neck bearings here, the steering neck bearing. And I go ahead and pull the handlebars off, get the top you know, there was a little chrome nut on top of this thing here. And I thought, oh yeah, well, I'll just tighten that down. Well, that didn't help. I was still clicking away in there. So I pulled that off, and I took the two big bolts. I took the handlebars off and took the two big bolts off that hold this triple tree on. And, you know, very solid, very heavy duty front forks on it. But I'm trying to put it back together. You know, I found the second nut underneath. Okay, then there's a washer of some sort here. And then this nut was just really loose. I actually didn't need to take any of this off. Once I realized what was under the triple tree plate, I could have just got a wrench up underneath and tightened that down just a little bit, and then cranked everything back down. Everything would have been fine. It's all tightened up. There's no wobble in the front steering neck anymore. But check this out. I'll just put that washer back so I don't lose it. So I go to put the triple tree back on, and I thought something popped when I took this off. But if I line up this bolt hole, put the nut down in there, now go look at to do the other one, not even close. These forks are too close together. Now I'm kind of thinking this is just bad machining at the factory, you know. They just, I can't imagine. There's no damage. These things are dead straight. I think that, you know, the distance between the lower triple tree plate is spot on. These are perfectly parallel all the way up, and they just, you know, somebody just didn't have the press set up right to punch these top holes. And they just said, screw it. They have tools or whatever to figure out how to put this on. Send it on down the road. Well, now I got to figure out a way to separate these posts some way. I don't have like a little hydraulic jack or something to go in there. So I'm going to go outside and maybe hook a chain to one side to the tractor, and then another one, like a come along or something, to the pickup truck, and see if I can get these bolt holes to line up and get this back on. Holy guys, come on. So here's my idea. So I got a chain or a come along hooked onto this fork, and then I just have it hard chained over to the plow of the tractor on that one. If I crank this down, don't have to go far, but I will get the triple tree and see if I can't get those holes to line up and drop the bolts in. Okay. Oh, easy. Yep, got it. Kind of hilarious to see these bottom saddles that sit on here have like a little boss that they sit on, a base, but you don't want that gap as you screw it down to the plate. So all they did is just throw in these little bits of, I don't even know, just roughly sheared off ends of some kind of thing, and they're not even all the same. Like, look at this one. Like, that's here, throw it in. We don't see that anyway. Just little spacers that sit on those, you know, sit on those little gaps. So, all right, there's my two Raleighs. To me, they look like the same design. I'm pretty sure this tubing is a little bit bigger, a little beefier than the chopper. Oh yeah. This one was made to look cool. This one was made to handle the rough stuff. Big jumps. Good structure in the front forks. How many of these choppers have you seen online with the front forks bent backwards from kids running into their neighbor's car, probably? Brakes working. Brakes are always going to work on a coaster brake. No one ever adjusts these things right. not a person. I mean, yeah, sure, I've clearly gone through the motions and gotten this one all right. Not really. But it does have a front brake. So that's really all you need. All right, yeah, I got to make a much nicer looking bracket than that one in the future. But, you know, I don't think a person's really going to even notice that one down there. All right, that's it for now. Cheers from Ontario.